Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. As we are very close to the most prestigious bodybuilding event, and this year 36 bodybuilders have received qualification for the Olympia before the deadline, which was November 20. So this is complete list of all qualified bodybuilders for the 2022 Mr. Olympia. So let's dive into it. As top 3 non-winning points athletes on the Olympia scoring system are allowed to compete in the Mr. Olympia, Andrea Musi from Italy is going to step on Mr. Olympia stage very first time. He did not win any pro show, but he has enough points to represent his country, Italy, this year. Justin Rodriguez took 8th place last year, which was his best ever place at the Olympia. This year he competed in several shows to qualify. He could not win any pro show this year, but he has earned enough points to fight with the big boys of the Olympia. Iranian muscle freak Behrouz Tabani has recently won his first ever professional show, which led him qualifying to the Olympia. After Hadi Chouban, he will be the second Iranian bodybuilder this year's lineup, and I really hope he gets his USA visa on time so he can compete in the most prestigious show of bodybuilding. The only French athlete in the Olympia lineup, Theo Laguerre, has showcased significant improvements this year. Although he was qualified through point standings, but he still managed to win his first pro show Europa Pro Championships recently. Theo competed in 5 pro shows this year with excellent endings. As Theo qualified by winning the show, Steve Kuclo received qualification being top 3 in point standings, but he decided to skip this year Olympia for focusing merely on his family. Leandro Paris is going to perform very first time in Olympia representing his country Brazil. He has recently won last qualifier show in Brazil muscle contest Fit Para for 2022 Mr. Olympia. Tonio Burton earned his qualification in Legend Sports Fest Pro this year by beating 8th place finisher of 2021 Mr. Olympia Justin Rodriguez. Last year Tonio was at 10th place but in 212 division of Olympia, which was his debut in that division. This year he is making his debut in men's open division of Olympia. He has put on some quality mass and he is no doubt going to have very tremendous performance. Last year, Vlaso Rushko could not compete in Olympia as he was unsuccessful getting his USA visa, but this year Ukrainian bodybuilder making his debut at Olympia stage without any obstacle. Canadian bodybuilder Antoine Vaillant had some serious health issues which did not allow him competing, but this year he made a comeback to the stage and won Chicago Pro 2022. It's going to be his second Olympia appearance. One of the most famous Italian bodybuilder, Andrea Presti, is coming with some massive improvements this year. He won Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro 2022 where he defeated his fellow Italian bodybuilder Andrea Musi. IFBB Pro Vitor Bofi, who is one of the most promising rising stars in the Brazilian bodybuilding community, will also be making his debut on the Mr. Olympia stage. Vitor won Brazil Pro 2022 for Mr. Olympia qualification. Jordanian doctor Mohamed Al Nassour, who gave up his profession as a doctor to pursue his dream of becoming one of the world's best bodybuilders, he won his first pro show Mosazam Pro this year and secured his Olympia qualification. So this season Egyptian mass monster Hassan Mustafa has won 2 pro shows, Puerto Rico and Orlando Pro. Last year he competed back-to-back in 7 pro shows without a single victory, but this year he has made drastic improvements, especially in conditioning department under the supervision of his new coach AJ Sims. He had tough time nailing his conditioning, but now finally he has the formula to bring crisp and sharp physique on stage. Charles Griffin is coming back to the Olympia with some incredible improvements. He was unqualified for a couple of years, but he has transformed his weakness into his strength, and this year he is bringing completely a new look to the Olympia stage. So Blessing Awodibu is stepping on Mr. Olympia stage very first time. Blessing won consecutively 2 big shows this year, Indy Pro and New York Pro, and he is super confident to crack top 3 in his Olympia debut this year. Regan Grimes is qualified for the Olympia, but he decided to skip 2022 Mr. Olympia and come back next year with plans of adding 15 pounds of quality mass to his physique. As for Nathan Diasha, he will not be competing in Olympia again. Recently he announced that he is out of 2022 Mr. Olympia after sustaining 2 bicep injuries.
You know, I had a right biceps here. Obviously you guys know that I had a left biceps here in January, and then again had one at the end of July of this year.
This is Nathan's 4th consecutive year we will not see him competing in Olympia. Joel Thomas, who earned much earlier Olympia qualification last year by winning Toronto Pro 2021, which gave him plenty of time to make some major improvements. Joel brings a very astonishing dense physique on stage, but he is also well known for having ginormous calves development. At the age of 38, he is competing for the first time on Mr. Olympia stage.
From the Legion Pro until now, I knew I was qualified for both, and I was honestly hoping that being able to do both was a possibility. I just had talked to the IFBB recently, and they had told me, unfortunately, I can't do both.
The 212 Olympia champ Sean Clorida and Angel Cardiron were qualified for both divisions, 212 and Men's Open of Olympia, and they had the chance to stand next to the mass monsters of Men's Open division. But Olympia organizers refused to allow them competing in both divisions. It would be fascinating to see them competing, but we won't see the giant killers fighting with the big boys of Men's Open Olympia.
James the Shed Hollingshead.
Last year, James Hollingshead could not perform as he planned. He was aiming to be top 4 and he was confident enough to beat 2019 Mr. Olympia winner Brandon Curry.
4th, me.
Okay.
5th, Bonak. And 6th, Nick.
What about Brandon?
Sorry, Brandon.
But he had to settle for 12th place only. As the overall absolute champion of Tsunami Pro 2022, this year James is bringing a dense and sharp physique to make a strong impression at Olympia. Team Camel Crew athlete Patrick Johnson from Denmark is going to compete in his first Olympia. He and his coach Abdullah have a clear goal this year, cracking top 6. We have seen his very imposing physique in Arnold Classic UK and Yamamoto France Pro this year, and he is very promising to bring a better version of himself on the Olympia stage. Another Egyptian in the lineup, Mohammad Shaban, is constantly making dramatic improvements. Last year he managed to move up to 10th place in Olympia. This year lineup is very deep. It will be difficult for him to crack top 10 again, but if he maintains his spot in the event, I think it will be a great result for Shaban. One of the most aesthetically gifted bodybuilders in Men's Open division, Rafael Brando, is finally making his debut in Olympia. He won Romania Muscle Fest Pro 2021 for securing his Olympia qualification, and he also came first in Arnold Classic Brazil this year. He was also qualified for the 2020 Olympia, but the combination of illness and other factors prevented him from competing. This year, Brazilian rising star has put on quality size on his frame, and he's going to impress a lot of fans with his aesthetically appealing physique at Olympia. The dark horse of the show, Akeem Williams, qualified by winning the 2022 Tampa Pro. This will be his 5th Olympia show, and he is very focused this year on presenting his most improved version. He has the size, monstrous physique and relatively small waist, but he needs to nail his conditioning in order to make a real impact on stage. Canadian bodybuilder Ian Wellier is very consistent, making improvements every year. Structure-wise, he's not really gifted, but his conditioning, his dense physique has defeated structurally superior bodybuilders. In last year Olympia, he was at 7th place, and for this year, he is hoping to crack top 6. The Nigerian lion Samson Dauda is bringing his biggest and most improved version to his first Olympia. We saw him recently at 330 pounds in his Olympia off-season, and he will be the second heaviest bodybuilder close to 300 pounds on the Olympia stage. Samson has very beautiful lines, great shape and overall very aesthetic physique, which will surely impress fans as well as judges. So the former IFBB Elite Pro bodybuilder Mikhail Krizo is now IFBB Pro League athlete. He turned pro this year and decided to compete in his first pro show, and he dethroned the entire lineup at EVLS Prague Pro with his sheer amount of quality size. And now we are going to see 6 feet 1 inch tall Slovakian sensation and mass monster Mikhail Krizo fighting with the world's best bodybuilders on 16th December on Olympia stage. This year, 212 Olympia champ Derek Lunsford revealed his interest competing in Men's Open Olympia, and later on his request for the special invite was accepted by the Olympia organizers. So fans are super excited to see him head-to-head battling out with the frontrunners of Men's Open Olympia. Many experts have him in top 6 this year as he has size, shape, structure and beautiful lines all over his physique, which can be very dangerous for his fellow Olympians this year. The third Nigerian bodybuilder in the 2022 Olympia lineup, Andrew Jack, is one of the most talented bodybuilders right now in Men's Open division. He has very superior structure, shape and genetics along with impressive X-frame and very small midsection. He instantly became the talk of the town this year because of his massive frame and incredibly aesthetic physique. He has won 2 big shows this year right after turning pro, Texas Pro and Arnold Classic UK. By winning his pro debut at the 2022 Texas Pro, the Nigerian muscle freak secured his direct qualification for the 2022 Mr. Olympia. Andrew's presence in the IFBB Pro League has already influenced many bodybuilding experts like Flex Wheeler, Dennis James, Chris Cormier, Jay Cutler and many others to discuss his potential that he can be a real threat in the Men's Open Olympia this year. Even 4 times Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler believed that Andrew could be a future Mr. Olympia winner. Last year, William Bonac was not able to crack top 5, which disqualified him for the first time since 2016 Mr. Olympia. But this year he is working with coach Chad Nichols, and in his supervision, William dominated the entire show Boston Pro in the month of March this year, where he received his Olympia qualification. And now he is very determined to bring the best version of his life. Arguably, Bonac is looking very improved. He is much focused to fix his flaws and to make some serious improvements. And he's coming very strong this year to fight against one of the best bodybuilders on planet to be the last man standing. And if Big Ramy fails to nail his conditioning, it might be possible William wins his first Sandow trophy. One of the current rising stars in the Men's Open division, Hunter Labrada, is qualified by taking 4th place at the 2021 Mr. Olympia. This year in the off-season, Hunter has made massive improvements, especially he's been focusing on improving his back, which was his main weakness last year. And even this year the Olympia lineup is very strong. He is preparing himself to get a great results again this year. As he presents a balanced physique that combines size and symmetry, he will be able to show his true potential under the supervision of his father and the legendary bodybuilder Lee Labrada on his 3rd arrival in the most prestigious show, Mr. Olympia. With the goal of becoming a Mr. Olympia champion, Nick Walker is coming this year with some massive improvements. He will be at least 15 pounds heavier this year on Olympia stage.
I'm going to be a lot bigger. Last year's Olympia, I was 245. I could see myself maybe being 260.
Although Nick Walker does not have the best structure and aesthetics for bodybuilding, but he has sheer amount of mass and very sharp conditioning, which makes him very dangerous contestant. With 31 Men's Open bodybuilders vying for the same Olympia title, Nick has clear goal of winning Sandow Trophy in his 2nd ever Olympia competition.
I'm going to win the Mr. Olympia.
As he keeps making progress and overcoming his flaws, Nick aims to bring a wow factor on 16th December on Olympia stage. 3rd place finisher at the 2021 Mr. Olympia Hadi Choopan is leaving no stone unturned. 2 times people champ arguably brings the most impressive conditioning on stage. Hadi's combination of dense muscles and crisp conditioning makes him one of the best bodybuilders on the planet. Most likely he's not trying to play the size game, so he can appear small on stage when standing next to the muscle-loaded, almost 300 pounds Big Ramy. And last year Hadi was much harder and more complete in the finals than prejudging, but if Hadi can show this level of crazy conditioning along with his dense and mature muscles for the prejudging as well as the finals this year, he can be the first Iranian Mr. Olympia winner if the frontrunners of the show don't bring their best. Brandon Curry has been a consistent top performer at the Olympia. After taking 5th place in 2018, Brandon won his first Sandow trophy in 2019 and he was runner-up for the last 2 years. But this year, Brandon was not in the discussion to be a real threat for the Olympia, especially after his 2022 Arnold Classic Ohio performance where he was relatively much smaller. But recently he has revealed his progress 1 month before the Olympia, and Brandon has shocked again the bodybuilding world with the improvements he has made, especially size-wise. So potentially he can dethrone the reigning champion if Big Ramy leaves the door open again.
Mr. Olympia, Big Ramy.
2 times reigning Mr. Olympia Big Ramy is going to fight for his 3rd Olympia title. Undeniably, Ramy was not in his best shape last year, but this year he is very focused and consistent for presenting the most improved physique of his life. Certainly he will be the biggest contestant on stage and no one will be able to outsize him. And he has been working on his conditioning throughout entire this year, so it will be extremely difficult for his fellow contestants to dominate such an invincible physique. And it's going to be very exciting to see the biggest lineup of men's Open Olympia compared to recent years. Rolly Winkler has not announced his retirement, but he is not competing this year due to shoulder injury. Flex officially retired from competitive bodybuilding, whereas Kai Green